And welcome to In the 661, Youth Voices for Kern, where we talk about topics that are of interest to our community here in Kern County, but specifically to the youth of our county. Michelle Corson's with the Public Health Department here in Kern, and we're here to talk about a topic that probably in some households and in some areas is a little taboo.
Yes.
But it's something that probably we should be talking about, or obviously need to talk about, and that is sexually transmitted diseases. It's something that you and I were just talking about a few seconds ago off camera that you kind of have a passion for. So tell me why that is. What is the problem that we're experiencing in Kern County?
You know, a couple of years ago, the Department of Public Health, we really looked at the increasing year after year rates of STDs in our community. And we really began to look at this and see it as a health crisis. I mean, that's truly how we see it. STDs have risen year after year in our community. We have some of the highest rates in the state. And this is something we all need to pay attention to. So we embraced a new campaign we call Know Your Risk.
Which is on your
I'm
t-shirt.
wearing the t-shirt today, and it's a campaign to bring awareness to, again, what we consider to be a health crisis. So we enjoy the opportunity like today because STDs happen to impact our young people disproportionately as compared to the rest of the population.
And I'm looking at some of the numbers you provided. This is for 2016. Kern County ranking second in the state for chlamydia, fourth for gonorrhea transmission rates, fourth in syphilis transmission rates, and according to public health here, 1 in 4 sexually active teen girls has a sexually transmitted disease.
Yes.
I mean, those are some pretty serious numbers.
They absolutely are. And, you know, we have the data on the women, and that doesn't mean that young men, 1 in 4 young men don't have an STD either. We just happen to have the data to back that statistic up. But this is terrible. This is unacceptable. There's also, you know, syphilis is one of these STDs that you can, as a pregnant woman, transfer that to your baby. And we had 6 babies die last year because of an STD called syphilis that is so easily treated.
It's treatable, right? Antibiotic?
Absolutely. It's easily treated. So this is important, and this is something we all need to really pay attention to.
So the big question is, what makes us different when you look at those numbers from the rest of the state? What are we doing differently than other people are?
And you know, that is the big question. Why are we having, and it's really the Central Valley that really struggles with some of these high rates. You know, why is this? What is happening to make us have such high rates of STDs? And if we knew that answer, I think that would make our jobs a lot easier. That's why we started with awareness and raising awareness about how dramatic our rates are, because we feel like people will pay attention to that shock of you know, we have some of the highest rates. And then again, you know, this is one of the hardest things to talk about. You and I are talking about it, we're joking right now, and I said I'm used to talking about it,
Right.
but most people don't want to have these conversations. They're difficult, they're sensitive. I think that has led to some of the issues. Young people, I think it can be our digital media, the social media that we are in now today, these dating apps, these hookup sites. This is really a whole new world for our young people, and it's providing opportunities to have hookups with people you don't even know, certainly know their sexual history. So there's lots of factors, I think, as a state and as a country that we face. Here in Kern County, I don't know what would make us unique.
There are solutions to some of these things, I would suggest, some of them perhaps more controversial than others, right? There are some folks who say, I want to handle the sex conversation in my house. This isn't something that public health needs to handle. But what about also the issue of condoms? And
Yes.
right, because it's kind of the chicken and egg. There are a lot of people who argue that handing out condoms encourages the kids to have sex as opposed to preventing an STD.
I'm glad you bring that up because, ironically, as our STD rates climb, our teen pregnancy rates are decreasing. We still have the highest teen pregnancy rates in the state, unfortunately, but they're declining. So birth control methods are being used, it seems, but let's talk about condoms, because truly, if our teen birth rates are decreasing, STDs are rising, we need to talk about barrier methods and things like condoms that are going to protect you. Abstinence, of course, is still the #1 way, but condoms and really having conversations with your partner about their sexual history, things like that. But you know, our campaign right now we're in the middle of is telling parents, don't be afraid to talk to your kids. Our billboards right now say, I survived talking to my child about sex. Parents need to have these conversations. Parents need to educate themselves so they know the facts so they can talk to their kids.
Because you can transmit a sexually transmitted disease more ways than one. It's not just one
Absolutely.
particular act, you know.
Absolutely. There's a lot of myths out there, I think. You know, we've had young people ask and say, can you get an STD from a toilet seat, for example? There's a lot of misinformation, so we want parents and all of us to be equipped with the facts, then we can have these conversations.
And so last year, Kern High School District started implementing the California Healthy Youth Act into their sex education curriculum. Have you seen the needle move at all in terms of STDs because of that?
We haven't. We're asked that question a lot, but what we feel like it's going to take some time. First, we commend our Kern High School District. We've partnered with them recently. They've let us come in and speak to their health teachers about our local issues. But if kids are accessing services and getting tested, our numbers are going to raise initially and then hopefully decline, which is the ultimate goal. So that's kind of what we have our eyes on at the moment, is that long-term goal.
Are there resources, to kind of go back to your last thing that you were talking about, for parents out there to start them on that conversation? I'm sorry, a lot of parents are probably like, I don't know where to begin, and at what age, and what's age appropriate?
Yes.
That's another question.
Go to our website at kernpublichealth.com. We've actually developed physical toolkits for parents. They can come and pick them up to help them have these conversations and make them a little easier. There's online tools for parents. We want them to access these resources, but parents need to come to our website, educate yourselves, and come pick up one of our toolkits. We would love that. We would love to help you have the conversation.
And so, what's next down the road? What are our next steps?
So we're going to be moving into what we consider phase 3 of the Know Your Risk program, where we're going to be talking about things that are a little bit uncomfortable, like those risky behaviors and condom use, and communicating better with your partner. That will be launching in July. So we've only just begun. The Know Your Risk program is 2 years old, but we see this as a multi-year phased approach.
And going back to kind of what you were talking about, I suspect a lot of parents probably might or might not be surprised about what the conversations they're already seeing on social media and online and on their phones, that, you know, if you think you're kind of bridging new ground with some of these kids, they probably have seen a lot of this already, been exposed to it already.
Yeah, if you're not talking to your kids, they're getting that information somewhere else, and oftentimes it's not factual. Wouldn't you want to be the one giving them accurate, loving information?
Giving that message. All right, Michelle Corson, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, and thank you for joining us on In the 661, Youth Voices for Kern.